Okay, we are in the middle of Likutei Moharan Torah Tet. Torah Tet is called Tehomot Yechasyumu, and we are in part Gimel of this Torah. And Rabbi Nachman is teaching us here about, first he spoke about the importance of how through a person's prayer, through a person's tefillah, a person renews his koach in the tefillah. A person puts all of the koach in the tefillah, and through that, his koach is renewed. When he puts all of his energy and all of his consciousness in the words of the prayer, it's renewed through the prayer. And then we spoke about how proper prayer, a proper tefillah, causes the shefa to come down, and that the tefillah ascends through 12 pathways to Shemayim, and these are the 12 nusachs of the prayer. And then that brings about the shefa to the person according to his shevet, according to the channel that his prayer ascends and the shefa descends through the 12 mazalot. And so after we established all that, Rabbi Nachman started explaining to us, what does a person do when he comes to pray and he is surrounded by all of these strange thoughts and he's not able to focus and not able to connect, to have that real connection. And so he said that really, even when a person feels that he's completely surrounded by the klipot, even in such a case, the truth is that there are many openings from that place of tuma, from that place of klipot. There are many openings for him to reconnect to the Ribono Shel Olam and to find his way out. The problem is that he is in darkness. He is because of his lowly spiritual situation, his feeling, and he's experiencing the klipot, and that is causing a tremendous darkness around him, and that darkness does not allow him to see the way out. And why is he in darkness? He's in darkness because he is distanced from Hashem, so to speak. Because he is in this place of klipot, so Hashem is distanced from him. What does it mean that Hashem is distanced from him? And why is Hashem distanced from him? Hashem is distanced from him because this person is sitting in sheker. And Hashem completely distances himself from sheker. Hashem completely distances himself from sheker. And so because this person is sitting in sheker, he's surrounded by sheker, he is feeling sheker. This is the chaos that is going on inside. Therefore, Hashem has distanced himself from him. And that means that, yes, obviously Hashem is everywhere, but to this person, he's not able to experience Hashem's light. And because of that, he's experiencing the darkness of the concealment. And now that he is in this darkness, this concealment, because of that, he is not able to see the opening from where he is to find the way to reconnect to the Ribono Shel Olam. And so what is the tikkun? What is the eitzah? What's the advice that we give to such a person, that we give to ourselves in this situation? How are we to find our way out, and how are we to find our connection to the Ribono Shel Olam? So says Rabbi Nachman, the most important thing here is that a person seeks truth. It's to seek to become real, to become authentic, to become genuine, and to find that place of truth within. Okay, in whatever chaos is going on the outside and on the inside, to find the place of truth within, and through that, and from that, speak truthfully to the Ribono Shel Olam, on whatever level you are, even if you may be aware that is not really your absolute truth, and that is not really the truth, but to the best of your ability, speak truthfully to the Ribono Shel Olam. And whatever awareness of the situation you are in, when you are mindful of the situation you are in, instead of running away from the truth of the situation you're in, you're accepting that this is the truth, and completely, that in itself is truth. That in itself is an absolute, that's the clear, authentic, real assessment of the situation. When a person is running away from that, or a person is avoiding facing the reality of what his situation is, then that is not truth. Also, sometimes we exaggerate and we make out the situation to be way worse than it really is. So that's also an aspect of not truth. A person needs the truth to be actually completely real, completely authentic, and assess the situation accurately and realistically. And from there, to speak to the Hashem truthfully, from your heart truthfully. And when you do that, so then Hashem is light is attracted to the person, and the concealment of Hashem's light is removed, and now Hashem's light is surrounding the person, even though he is in a place of klipot. And through that light, he's able to find the opening out of that place and to find his way to reconnect to the Ribono Shel Olam. Okay, so now let's see how this fits into the psukim. So Rabbi Nachman is going to bring this pasuk in Bereshit and Parshat Noach. It's a pasuk about the ark that Hashem commanded Noach to build, the teva. And the Baal Shem Tov explains on this pasuk that the teva, the ark, is really the word teva. The word ark also means the word. The words of Torah and Tefillah that we speak are called tevot. And so Rabbi Nachman, the Baal Shem Tov makes a drasha on this. And Rabbi Nachman here in this Torah, and there's also another Torah in the Likutei Moharan that is very similar to this Torah, where he also brings this pasuk and he makes this drasha, is on the same pasuk and in a very similar way to the way that the Baal Shem Tov makes it. Okay, so it says Rabbi Nachman like this: V'zeh pirush sohar ta'aseh lateva, that you should make light for the ark, for the teva. You should make light for the teva. So first, let me just point out the Baal Shem Tov's way. The way the Baal Shem Tov makes his drasha on this pasuk is that he says that when a person says the words of the prayer, a person should intend to bring their consciousness, the light of their neshama, shine the light of your neshama, the light of your consciousness in the words and the letters of the prayer as you are saying them. That's what it means. Sohar ta'aseh lateva. You should make the teva shine. You should bring that light into the teva, into the words of the prayer. And this is basically, this drasha of the Baal Shem Tov is a beautiful 2-point summary. It's a one-liner summary of all of the kavanot of the Baal Shem Tov in prayer. This is Baal Shem Tov all over the works of the disciples, the Talmidim and Baal Shem Tov. They all explain that this is the most important kavana. This is how you are supposed to pray, is to intend in every word of the prayer to shine your consciousness, to shine the light of your neshama into the words, into the letters, to make them shine. Okay, that's sohar ta'aseh lateva. And if you remember, at the beginning of this Torah, we saw very similar, the Rabbi Nachman is actually explaining the same kavana, and he said that when you pray, you should surrender all of your energy, all of your koach, your consciousness in the words of the prayer, and through this your energy is renewed. Okay, so now Rabbi Nachman is actually taking these words that the Baal Shem Tov explains to be the instruction for kavana and prayer, how we are supposed to have kavana and prayer. And he explains it with this understanding of the truth, of how a person is supposed to speak truthfully and pray truthfully and seek the truth. And when you do that, that is itself what brings the light, says Rabbi Nachman. It's not just to shine your consciousness, it's to shine the light of Hashem within your consciousness, and that it happens when you are speaking truthfully. That's the added insight here that Rabbi Nachman, that added clarity that Rabbi Nachman is giving here in this explanation. So says Rabbi Nachman, "V'zeh pirush sohar ta'aseh lateva." You should make a light for the teva. Perish Rashi, yesh omrim chalon, v'yesh omrim even tov. So Rashi explains, what is this teva? What is this? How are you supposed to bring light into the ark? How is Noach supposed to bring light? They didn't have electricity. How is he supposed to bring light into the teva that was completely closed off? So Rashi brings two explanations from the Medrash. One of them is that he put a window on the top of the ark. On the top of the teva, he put a window, an opening, and that allowed for some sun to come in. That's one explanation. Another explanation is that he put a precious stone. He had this gemstone that was very, very special, because usually the way we understand it is that a gemstone is only something that reflects light. So if you have light, then the gemstone can maybe reflect it and somewhat seems like it's increasing it. But apparently, that is not the only possibility. Okay, he had some sort of gemstone that was kind of glowing in the dark, and it glowed so greatly that it actually was the source of light for the whole teva. So these are the two explanations that Rashi brings. One is that it's a window. He made a window on the roof, and that allowed for the light that was outside to come in. So we have to pay attention to the difference between these two explanations. One is the window. The window, what it does is it doesn't have a light from itself. It only allows the light that is outside to enter the teva and to shine within the teva. That's one explanation. The other explanation is the gemstone, and that itself was glowing. So the gemstone itself was glowing. And Rabbi Nachman is going to explain these two aspects of truth, of speaking truthfully, of davening truthfully. והחילוק שבין חלון לאבן טוב, כי החלון אין לו אור בעצמו, אלא דרך שם נכנס האור, אבל כשאין אור, אין מאיר. אבל אבן טוב, אפילו כשאין אור מבחוץ, הוא מאיר בעצמו. כן יש בני אדם שדיבורם הוא חלון, ואין כוח להאיר להם בעצמם. וזהו, ויש אומרים, ואמירתם נעשה חלון, ויש שאמירתם נעשה אבן טוב ומאיר. So says Rabbi Nachman that these two aspects, these two explanations of how Noah brought the light into the teva are corresponding to the two types of words, of speaking, of praying truthfully. There's some people that they pray truthfully, but their truth is not the absolute truth. It's not the absolutely clear truth, but it is on their level, a lowly level maybe, it is considered truth. And because of that, their truth causes their truth is compared to a window, and so it's not strong enough, it's not great enough, it's not powerful enough that their words themselves should be the source of light to shine for them the exit, the way out of the klipot that are surrounding them, but it is enough as a window to allow the light of the tzaddikim to shine through, and to allow the light of Hashem to shine through, and that will now be for him enough, sufficient to find the exit, to find the way, to find the opening out of the klipot that are surrounding. That's one level. Another level, which is greater than this, is the aspect of the gemstone, the aspect of the precious stone that itself glows. And so sometimes a person can merit to speak the words of the prayer so truthfully and in such a truthful way, and from the depths of the heart, that the words themselves are shining, and the words themselves are shining and glowing and showing him the way out of the kalipot that are surrounding him. Okay, this is what Rabbi Nachman is explaining, the two different aspects. There's the chalon, the window, it allows for the light to shine through, and a light that is outside to shine through, or the gemstone that the words themselves, the person himself has the ability here to and now to shine his way, to shine for himself and to find the way out of the klipot. ודע שהכל לפי גודל האמת, כי עיקר האור הוא הקדוש ברוך הוא, והקדוש ברוך הוא עצם האמת, ועיקר השתוקקות של השם יתברך, אינו אלא אל האמת. And you should know that it all depends on how great, the degree of how great is the truth, how true is this truth, how clear and how pure is the truth of the person. So if it's not the highest level of truth, so then, as we said, it's like a window. It's not sufficient to shine from itself, but it is enough and it is good enough to allow for another light to shine through, the light of Hashem. Whereas if it's actual truth, so then he's already revealing the light of Hashem within the words. He has already revealed and connected to the light of Hashem within the words, and that in itself is good enough from now, to shine the way, to find his pathway out of the darkness, out of the klipot. And so that's what Rabbi Nachman says. It all depends to the degree of truth, because the truth itself is Hashem, is Hashem's light. Because Hashem is the absolute truth. He's the essence of truth. And so to the degree of truth that you merit to connect to and to speak from, that's the degree of Hashem's light that you will have connected to. Sometimes you are only considered a window that you allow for Hashem's light to shine through. And sometimes you've connected to Hashem to a point where Hashem's light is, you have become one with Hashem's light. And you are already from that place of Hashem's light, shining that light and finding your way out of the klipot that are surrounding. The greatest Hashem's yearning is the truth, because that's the essence. Hashem's essence is truth, and Hashem is the essence of truth, the absolute truth. And so wherever there is truth, Hashem is attracted, and Hashem shines His light in that place, and Hashem's presence is revealed in that place. So Rabbi Nachman continues explaining, he explains the continuation of this pasuk that we spoke about, the ark of Noach, that he said, Hashem gave to Noach in the instructions, he said that he should make a 1 cubit, he should leave a 1 cubit on top of the ark, and for the roof, and that's the amma on the top. Ve'el amma techalena milamala. But the pasuk uses the word techalena to mean that he should finish the top of the roof as 1 amma. And to finish, the word techalena, to finish, also has a connotation of meaning, a connotation of yearning. Again, we see this in the pasuk that says, "Vatichal nefesh David," that David's soul longed for. So yearning, longing is tichal, or as we see here by the ark, by the teva, tichalena. And so what does that mean? So Rabbi Nachman says, Ama hi motzaot haklulim me'esh umayim, haynu shetireh sheyitz'u hadiborim mipicha be'emet, ואז ישתוקק הקדוש ברוך הוא מלמעלה, ישכון אצלך, וכשישכון אצלך, הוא יאיר לך. So Rabbi Nachman says, ve'el amat echalena milamala, he says you should speak the words of the prayer in such a way that Hashem will yearn to dwell with you, to dwell upon you, and to reveal His light and to reveal His presence upon you. That's what this pasuk is saying. Ve'el ama. Ama is hinting to, alluding to the words of the prayer. And if you speak the words of the prayer in a truthful way, tichalena milamala, you will have a yearning from above. Okay, Hashem will yearn. Hashem will yearn to reveal His presence upon you and within you. Okay, why does the word ama represent and allude to the words of the prayer? So ama is Rashi Tevot. It's an acronym for Eish, Mayim, and Hey Motzaot. Eish, Mayim is fire and water, and these are the two elements that words are created from. Words are created from fire and water. There's a heat in the words that we speak, and there's also a humidity in the words that we speak. So the heat is from the element of fire, and the humidity is from the element of water, and both of them combined is what is the makeup, the spiritual makeup of the words that we speak, the havalim, the diburim that we speak. And it's also, and that comes out of the the Torah teaches us that there are five points in the mouth from which the words come out from. There are words that come out of the throat, there are words that come out of the teeth, there are words that come out of the palate, there are words that come out of the tongue, and there are words that come out of the lips that are enunciated through the lips. And these are the five chamisha motzaot hapeh, the five sources for the 22 letters of the Aleph Bet. And in the Arizal, in the Kabbalah, there are tremendous deep explanations of these 5 categories, what they really represent. But this is all from the Eitz Chaim of the Arizal and from the Zohar Kadosh, these Chamisha Motzaot HaPeh. So the word Ama is made up of Aleph Mem represents the fire and water elements that are what the words are made up from. They're made up of fire and water elements, and those fire that energy, those words as they come out that are made up of fire and water elements, they come out of the 5 different points in the mouth, and that's what separates and makes it into these different letters and these different words. Okay, so that's the word Amma. So Ve'el Amma Techalena Milamala, says Rabbi Nachman, that when you speak the Amma, when you speak the words of the prayer, truthfully, you will merit the Techalena Milamala. It's actually an instruction. You should pray in such a way, you should pray the words of the Amma in such a way that you will cause a yearning from above. You will cause that Hashem will desire to reveal His presence upon you and reveal His light within you. How does that? That's when you speak those words, the words of Amma, truthfully. And this is also alluded to in the acronym of the Rashi Tevot of this pasuk. The words Amma Techalena Milemala. The Amma is the words, as we said, it alludes to the words. Techalena milemala, you will cause a yearning from above. Those 3 words, Amma, Techalena milemala, begin with the letters Emet. Because through speaking truthfully, you merit that your words, your Amma, are causing a yearning from above. Because when you speak truthfully, you cause that Hashem will desire to and yearn to dwell within you and shine His light for you. Okay, as we see in the pasuk in Tehillim, we say it in Ashrei 3 times a day. That Hashem is close to those who call out to Him truthfully. Hashem is close. He yearns to and He longs to and He finds and he is attracted to those who speak to Him truthfully. As soon as you speak to Hashem truthfully, right away Hashem is found there and Hashem reveals His light upon you and within you. Ve'az, and so then what's the continuation of this pasuk? Upetach hateva b'tzidat tasim, haynu hateva yotzet be'emet, hi tasim lecha petach b'choshech she'ata nitzod bo, וזהו בצידה, היינו הקליפה הצד ציד, כמו שכתוב כציד בפיו, כי מתחילה לא היה יכול לדבר מחמת החושך הסובב אותו. ועל ידי שיוצא מתוך החושך ומתפלל היטב, על ידי זה הוא מתקן תחתיים, שניים ושלישים, היינו עולם השפל ועולם הגלגלים ועולם השכל. So the next part is, says Rabbi Nachman, that through this, the next part of the pasuk in the instructions of Hashem to Noach and how to build the teva is that he should make an opening to the teva. The door for the teva should be on the side. So says Rabbi Nachman, what is this alluding to in our context of prayer? It's alluding to that when a person prays this way, when a person prays truthfully and the words come out truthfully, so that shows the person, it illuminates the way and it removes the darkness surrounding the person and it shows the person where is the doorway, the petach. Okay, you should put a petach, upetach hateva, the opening or the doorway of the teva, but that is created from the teva, from the words of the prayer that are being spoken and prayed truthfully. Betzidat tasim will be put on in its side. What does it mean in its side? So says Rabbi Nachman, Betzidah, the word for its side, also has a connotation of tzayid befiv. Tzayid befiv is the description of Esav in Bereshit. It says about Esav that he would entrap his father, he would fool his father, try to fool his father and con his father with his words. Okay, so that's what kitzayid befiv means. And so this is a description of Esav, which is the klipa. So when it says that upetach hateva betzidat asim, that the doorway created by the teva, by the words of prayer spoken truthfully, will be put in the tzidah, and the tzidah we said has a connotation of tzayid befiv, which is a description of klipa. So that is teaching us that when you speak the words, the teva of the prayer truthfully, it illuminates and shines and creates the opening, the doorway. It shows you the doorway, the opening that is your way out of the tzidah, out of the klipa that the person is surrounded by. כי מתחילה לא היה יכול לדבר מחמת החושך הסובב אותו, ועל ידי שיוצא מתוך החושך ומתפלל היטב, על ידי זה הוא מתקן תחתיים שניים ושלישים, היינו עולם השפל ועולם הגלגלים ועולם השכל. אך אי אפשר להתפלל רק שלומד תורה, כי לא עם הארץ חסיד, וכתיב מסיר אוזנו משמוע תורה, גם תפילתו תועבה, כתב יד החברים. So, when you do this and you are able now to pray, because Rabbi Nachman says beforehand, when the person was in the darkness and the klipa was surrounding him, it was very difficult for him to be able to pray. He was not able to pray because of all this klipa that was surrounding him. And a person sometimes experiences this when a person is praying to Hashem, and okay, maybe you can say the words, if you're saying words that are written in the siddur, maybe you can say the words, but your heart is completely not there. And sometimes a person wants to do hitbodedut, and because his heart is not there, he can't come up with any words. Okay, so that's what Rabbi Nachman is speaking about. When a person is in this darkness, when a person is surrounded by this klipa, and his mind is not with him, his heart is not with him, then it's impossible for him to really speak to Hashem. So what should he do? A person needs to find his way out. How does he find his way out if he's surrounded by all of this klipa and Hashem is concealed from him? He's sitting in darkness. The advice is to find the truth, to seek the truth, and to speak truthfully from your truth to the best of your ability in this moment, wherever you're at, from where you are. And when you do this, Hashem is revealing, Hashem yearns to and longs to, and Hashem desires to and is happy to and seeks to reveal his presence and dwell upon such a person. And through that, the light of Hashem illuminates all of it and completely dissolves all of the darkness surrounding this person, and he's able to find the doorway, the exit out of these klipot that are surrounding him, as we saw, betzidat asim, petach hateva betzidat asim. The word of the prayer that is spoken truthfully causes this opening out of the klipa, and then he is able to pray in a proper way. And when he prays in this proper way, as we saw in the earlier part of the Torah, a person rectifies the three worlds of Asiya, Yetzira, and Bria, which is, as we said, this world of the planet Earth. It's also the second world above that is all of the systems of the galaxies and space and the planets and the stars and all that, Olam HaGalgalim. And the third world higher than that is the world of the Malachim, of the angels. And these are alluded to in the next part of the Pasuk, says Rabbi Nachman. Tachtiyim, Shneim, Ushtishim, that he will rectify the three levels of the ark, or the ark will be building the three levels, the lower level, the second level, and the third level. So says Rabbi Nachman, that's alluding to the three worlds that we're speaking about. Olam HaShafal, the lowly world, this physical world, the planet Earth, the Olam HaGalgalim, and the world of the stars, and Olam HaSechel, the world of intellect. Okay? Which is interesting. That now, in this part in the Torah, Rabbi Nachman is speaking about something he mentioned earlier, but earlier he referred to the third and highest world, the third and higher world, as Olam HaMalachim, the world of the angels. Here he calls it the world of intellect, which is consciousness, which is the world of the spiritual, which is the world of the neshama. And there are other places in the Likutei Moharan, Rabbi Nachman also speaks about how the seichel, the neshama of a person, is called galgalta, which is in the Zohar refers to the skull, but it also sounds like a word for the galgalim, which is all of the the planets and their orbits, the orbiting planets and the orbiting stars, and he says that it's the same aspect. That and he calls it the seichel. In another Torah, he calls it the seichel because he says that the person's seichel, a person's intellect or ability to think, the consciousness of a person and the ability to understand things comes from the neshama of the person. As it says in the pasuk, "Benishmat Shaddai tevinem," that through the soul of Shaddai they will be able to understand. Anyways, the point is that it's interesting here how he calls the world of the angels, which is the third world in this order from the lowest world, he calls it here the world of the intellect. And all of these three worlds are called Tachtiim, the lowest, the Shneim, the second one, and the Shlishim. And all three of them are rectified through the prayer. That is, when a person is praying truthfully from a place of truth, he merits this connection to the divine, this connection to Hashem's divine light, and Hashem's presence is revealed, and the concealment dissolves, and he's now able to pray properly in a way that rectifies these three worlds that we spoke about. And then here in the brackets, right at the end of this paragraph, there's an interesting note from the Talmidim of Rabbi Nachman that they also heard from him, that he said, however, Rabbi Nachman also said, however, now we just spoke about prayer and the importance of praying truthfully, and how a person that prays truthfully and properly, a person will merit through this to rectify these three worlds. But he says the person is not able to pray properly unless he learns Torah. Okay? Because a person who doesn't learn Torah and he doesn't know Torah is not able to be a chassid. Okay? He is not able to be pious. He is not able to connect to Hashem, which is the ability of the chassid, the ability of dveikut, the ability to connect to Hashem comes from the aspect of chassid. It's not so much your intellectual knowledge of Torah, but it's the fear of Hashem and the belief in Hashem and the trust in Hashem that comes from that knowledge of Torah. Because the Gemara teaches us, Lo am ha'aretz chasid. It's impossible to be pious, and pious is the aspect of tzaddik, it's the aspect of fearing Hashem, connecting to Hashem, really connecting, a true connection to Hashem. The Gemara says that's not possible without learning Torah. So yes, we always think of Torah as something that is just an intellect. It's something that rectifies your intellect, but it's way more than that. The Gemara teaches us to be considered pious, to be considered a chassid, which is really the mechanism, what causes the ability to connect to Hashem. That is based on your Torah study, on having daily times for learning Torah. For more that a person connects to the Torah and learns the Torah and understands the Torah and remembers the Torah, the more a person will merit this. And so, also, and therefore, in order to properly connect to Hashem in the prayer, you need to have the Torah. Because as we said, Lo am ha'aretz chasid. Without the Torah learning, a person is not able to have that aspect of chasid, of being a pious person, of being a tzaddik, revealing the tzaddik within you, which is really your ability to connect to Hashem. And connecting to Hashem is the primary focus of your prayer. When you're praying, it's all about that veikut. It's all about building that relationship for Hashem, but that's not possible without learning Torah. Because as we said, Lo am ha'aretz chasid, when a person doesn't learn Torah, doesn't know Torah, he cannot have that chassid, that tzaddik within him be awakened, be revealed, that ability to connect to Hashem. And as we also see in the pasuk in Mishlei, the pasuk says that when a person turns his ear from listening to Torah, he averts his ear from listening to Torah, meisir otzno, someone who removes his ear from listening to Torah, also his prayer will be considered an abomination. A person's prayer is not desired, is not accepted above if a person does not accept the Torah, if a person doesn't want to hear the Torah study, doesn't want to hear and learn Torah. So this is the same point. Without the combination of Torah study with the prayer itself will not be accepted. So this is just brought here in brackets as a note from the other Talmidim of Rabbi Nachman. But really, if a person contemplates this point a little deeper, we will see that it's exactly a practical application of what we just learned in the Torah. Because what we just learned in the Torah is that the words of the prayer are ineffective if a person is praying them full of sheker, full of falsehood, and a person is disconnected from the truth, right? And so that's why Rabbi Nachman says a person needs to seek the truth, find the truth, be aware of the truth, and speak those words truthfully, and through that the light of Hashem will shine, and he will find his way out of the klipot and be able to speak and pray properly and affect the change that is intended. Now that we know the importance of combining the Torah study with the prayer, we understand that this is another way of practically applying the advice of Rabbi Nachman, because as we know from the Zohar and from many places, that the Torah itself is called truth. The essence of truth is Torah. How does a person connect to truth and to true thinking? How does a person embody truth and find truth? It's dependent on the degree of a person's Torah study. How much a person learns Torah, in the quantity of the learning of the Torah and the quality of the learning of the Torah, where a person absorbs within him the Torah way of thinking. That is truth. And so the more that a person connects to that, the more that a person will have developed his capability to connect to the truth and to find the truth. And then he's able to shine that truth in the words of the prayer, and the words of the prayer will be more effective. So that's exactly what we saw here in the brackets, that a person who is removing his ears from the Torah study will not be able to, his prayer will not be accepted and will not be desired above. And so that's a very important point of a practical way we can apply and implement this advice. But we have two ways of applying the advice. One way is that no matter what, wherever you are, you're always able to find the truth on your level and speak from that truth to Hashem, the words of the prayer, and Hashem will shine his light. And the second way of applying it practically is to include more and more Torah study, to learn more and more Torah, to understand more in Torah, and to absorb more and more of the Torah's way of thinking. And through that, you are developing your ability to connect and to find the truth within you, within your neshama, and that is how you are able to more easily shine the light of the truth within the words of the prayer, and then the words of the prayer will be that much more effective to cause the intended effect, Bezrat Hashem. Okay, so we went a little bit longer today, but I think it's a good place for us to stop for today's Torah up to Dalit.